Hello, it's me, Michael Tic Tac, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to conquer the entire region of Paldea using nothing but birds. This means all titans located and then slayed, every gym leader defeated while becoming champion, raiding all the team star bases and beating their bosses, and of course, the true final boss of the game, Professor Turo. And by the way, not just any old birds will do, I want to shake things up a bit and use only bird Pokemon that can't fly. Well, to be more specific, bird Pokemon without the flying typing. This will also be a hardcore Nuzlocke with the rules on screen now for those who care, and well, let's just jump straight into it. Unlike most challenges, one of the starters Director Level offers us is actually usable. Quaxly. It's a bird Pokemon with just the water typing, and then later it gets the fighting typing, which is perfect. But one duck is not enough, as not too far away, there is a chubbier yellow bird Pokemon that can also not fly, Psyduck. Now that we have two members in our team, we can head straight to the gates of Messagoza and take on Nemona for a battle, which is just Howard aqua-jetting her Fuecoco a couple of times, and then when her terrestrialized rat comes in, it also just gets aqua-jetted to its grave. As we enter the academy, it is here where we can get our three main quests to complete. First up, it's the Path of Legends quest line from Arvin, then it's the Victory Road quest line that is given to us by Nemona, and then finally, it's Cassiopeia who can give us our final quest, Starfall Street. With all our quests given to us, we can start things off straight away by taking on Katie and her bugs. Well, actually, there was some preparations we did first, starting by going all the way to Medali City to pick up a useful item, leftovers. And then we make ourselves a Protect TM at the Poke Center, which we then teach to Howard. Right, now back to Katie. Howard takes charge, wing attacking her Nimble for good damage, while a Struggle Bug doesn't hurt too much. We protect between turns to get some extra health recovery from leftovers before finishing off the bug. Tarantula is Katie's next Pokemon, and we just wing attack this ball of yarn twice, which can take it out. Last is Erase Turdiosa, who takes a wing attack pretty well, while a Fury Carter hits pretty hard. But after protecting on the next turn, getting double leftovers recovery, we're back on the green, and surprisingly, a second wing attack actually secures the kill, giving us the win. Oh, and Howard decided to evolve straight after this fight. Titan hunting is now on our agenda, and it's the Stony Cliff Titan Claw who we need to deal with first. Kevin gets some of the spotlight, and a couple of water pulses from our duck can take care of the giant crab in the first phase. The Titan then does its best to try and escape the wrath of Kevin, but our chubby yellow duck is in no mood to show any mercy as we track it down, ready for phase 2. And with Arvin's shoulder chipping in with some big water guns, Kevin can eliminate the Titan pretty comfortably with some water pulses. Now that we have a couple of wins under our belt, it is a perfect time to introduce our newest member of the team, Falco, which just so happens to be the perfect Pokemon for our next gym fight against Brassius. Before we do take on the Gardener, Falco does level up and evolve into a Combusken. So we enter the gym, watch the guy jump off a windmill, which should have killed him if I'm being honest, and then we begin the battle. Falco goes on the attack, but a Flame Charge does not quite get the kill, allowing the Petilil to land a Sleep Powder, putting our chicken to sleep. Thankfully, Mega Drains don't hurt too much, and with leftovers healing us, by the time we wake up, we're relatively healthy, and the Flame Charge can burn the plant to a crisp. Smoliv comes in, and it annoyingly also survives a Flame Charge from us, but a tackle doesn't hurt, and we take it out on the next turn. Finally, he can bring in his final Pokemon Sudowoodo, although this time we go for an Ember, doing decent damage, while the Tri-Blaze doesn't hurt much at all. Two more Embers from Falco can hit the fake tree, eliminating it from the field, and giving us the win. Hey, just quickly, I wanted to pause the video to thank you all for the support you've been showing. And if you have been enjoying the videos I've been putting out, I'd love if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. The Open Sky Titan Bombardier has been causing havoc, so it becomes our next priority to deal with. But before we take on the giant bird, just outside Artisan City, we can find the TM for Icy Wind, which will be useful for Kevin. Then on this small boat here, we can find the TM for Surf, which I want to teach to Howard. And then finally, we make our way all the way to the Snowy Mountains just to get ourselves a modest mint to boost Kevin's special attack. I also get my hands on the Rock Tomb TM for Falco just in case things go badly, giving him a super effective move to use on the Titan. And that's everything I needed to do, so let's go beat up this stupid Stork. Howard takes charge, getting hit with a Plug for good damage while we respond with a big terrestrialized Surf. Next we go for a Protect that gives us some additional HP from leftovers before a wing attack hits us hard, leaving Howard on just 13 HP. This does put us into Torrent range, meaning our next Surf hits even harder, bringing it right down to the red. Once again we Protect for some extra HP recovery from leftovers, and then we follow up with an Aqua Jet Jet to finish off the first phase. Ivan then makes his way up the mountain, which is perfect as we need his help for round 2. Howard starts things off by protecting, which gives us some additional health through leftovers, while Ivan's Nacli decides to go for a rock polish. Thanks, mate. Not able to stay in, Kevin makes his way to the battlefield while the Bombardier uses a Torment on the Nacli. The Rock Mushroom then goes for a second rock polish, which is getting annoying. Nacli now outspeeds, going for a smackdown on the Stalk, while a wing attack hits it back for minimal damage. Kevin then lands an Icy Wind, doing good damage, while also slowing down the Bombardier. Ivan then taunts me by using another rock polish when it's already faster, and to make things worse, Bombardier plucks Kevin, bringing him low, but also eating our Oran Berry, healing himself up a bit. Thankfully, a second Icy Wind does hit, bringing it back to the yellow and slowing it down further. Kevin then goes for a protect, which works out well, as Nacli finally goes for another attacking move, bringing the bird down to the red with a rock throw. And then finally, it's one last smackdown from the rock that can secure the kill and then give us the victory over the second Titan. We are making some serious progress so far, but we still have yet to pay Team Star a visit, so let's change that, starting with Giacomo and his Dark Team crew. He leads with a Pornard, who stands no chance surviving a quad effective low sweep from Howard. Then he brings out his car to fight us, which also intimidates Howard, dropping his attack. The Starmobile then lands a Metal Sound, which is okay, as we go for a Surf this time, which doesn't do too much damage. Now it's time to bring in Falco, who eats a Snarl like a champ, and then detects on the next turn to get his health almost all the way back up. A Wicked Talk comes our way, but we ain't phased, and we respond with a huge low kick, slashing the car's health. 2 more low kicks from our Fiery Chicken can hit the car, crushing it and sending it straight to the junkyard. Once again, our priority becomes a gym challenge, but as we head to Lavencia City, Nemona decides that she wants another crack at the future champ, so we have a battle. Howard is in charge, and a Surf can wash away a Rockruff with absolute ease. Pormy comes in and actually survives a Surf from Howard, and then annoyingly lands a Nuzzle, which paralyzes us. Thankfully, we can still outspeed with an Aqua Jet and get the KO on the next turn. Last is a Crocola, who hits us with a round for okay damage, while a Surf surprisingly only does about half of its HP of damage back. One more round comes our way, which is fine, as Howard can double down with a second Surf, putting it out of its misery. Iona and her electric Pokemon are next up, but before we put an end to her, we make a quick detour so we can grab ourselves a TM for Dig. Sweet! Let's take her on. Iona starts with a watch roll, while Falco takes the lead for us. Falco terrestrializes into a fire type to avoid taking super effective damage from the pluck, while also going for a bulk up, which raises his defense and attack by 1. Falco then takes another pluck from the bird, while once again bulking up to get even stronger. This time the watch roll uses a spark, which thankfully does not paralyze us before we flame charge it straight back to Iono. Billy Bolt drops in, so we go for a dig, which can one-shot the fat frog on the next turn. Luxio does drop our attack with Intimidate, which means to take a risk, going for another bulk up, raising our stats, while a spark comes our way and thankfully doesn't paralyze us. From here we can flame charge the cat, taking it out while making us even faster. Last is a Miss Magius, but this electrical ghost can do nothing but fall to a flame charge from Falco, giving us the win and another gym badge. Things are about to heat up as we have Mela from the Fire Team Star crew next to deal with. We watch her come out on her car and then she decides to scream before eventually throwing out her turtle. Kevin is not phased at all, going for a rain dance, removing the sun and then taking a flame wheel with absolute ease. A water pulse from our Chubby Duck is just short from the kill, allowing the Torkoal to hit back with a clear smog, which is okay. A second water pulse then sends a turtle packing and Mela brings in the Starmobile to fight us. Swifts don't hurt too much, while water pulses deal about a quarter of HP of damage to the car. We trade blows until finally one last water pulse can land, giving us another victory over Team Star and their bases. We ain't about to slow down now, so we head straight to the Wastelands where the lurking Steel Titan Orthworm is hiding. Falco starts things off by dodging an Iron Towel and then responding with a Flame Charge on the Metal Worm. He then goes for another Flame Charge, bringing the Titan low, as this time it retaliates with a Wrap, which is fine. 2 more Flame Charges from Falco is enough for the worm to surrender and even retreat from the battle, but we follow the coward until eventually phase 2 can begin. I change it up, this time going for low kicks as it deals more damage due to the weight, and then after 3 of them, we can take out the Orthworm for good this time, slaying the 3rd Titan of the game. After spending some time in the wastelands, it's time to go somewhere a little more tropical, so we head to Kaskarafa City, where conveniently is also the location of Kofu, the next gym leader. Okay, so whose bright idea was it to build a town right next to a desert? Anyway, after beating up his apprentice and buying some seaweed from a guy running at about 5 frames per second, we can finally challenge the celebrity chef. Oh, I almost forgot, we actually added another bird that can't fly to the team, Piplup. And of course, we level the penguin up, evolving him to a more useful Primplup. Right, back to Kofu. Skipper makes his debut and things start off bad as he gets hit with a critical slash right off the bat. But he stays strong, charming the fish and dropping its attack. We stay in, taking a regular slash with ease now, while a second charm hits the Veluza, leaving it at -4 in attack. And now Howard can tag in, getting tickled by a slash as he enters the field. Now Howard starts using work up on the Veluza, raising his attacking stats, while Plax can barely tickle our duck. Eventually we are at +5, so we terrestrialize and go for a huge liquidation, but it's still not quite enough to secure the KO. But we take the incoming slash well, and then follow up with a second liquidation, getting the kill. Well, Trio hits Howard with a headbutt before we can respond with a low sweep, taking it out, but also slowing us down thanks to its gooey ability. Last is Crabominable, who will outspeed and hit us with a slam for decent damage before a low sweep can land, doing about half its HP, but more importantly, slowing him down, allowing Howard to outspeed and follow up with a second low sweep, getting the KO and giving us the win. Atticus and his team of toxic Pokemon are now all I care about, but before we exterminate him and his crew, Kevin can now evolve into a Golduck, so let me show you his power. Skuntank goes for a sucker punch, but it fails as Kevin sets up with a Calm Mind. Kevin then double downs, going for a second Calm Mind, getting stronger, while the skunk uses Toxic, badly poisoning us, but expecting that, we eat a berry and we're healed. Not wanting to get poisoned again, we go for a Disable, which works perfectly as it tried to go for a Toxic. Skuntank then starts using Sucker Punches again, allowing Kevin to continue to get stronger with Calm Minds. Once a Disable ends, we terrestrialize and we start the slaughter. Skuntank is surfed to its death, Muck is surfed to its death, Reverum is surfed to its death, and the Starmobile does survive the first surf, but then falls to the second wave. It's at this point of the run where the level cap goes to 36 and our squad of birds can finally get some big evolutions. First up we have Falco, who becomes a Blaziken. Then it's Skipper, who becomes an Empoleon. Howard is next, becoming a Quacklevel. And then finally Roadrunner. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I caught a Flittle, who evolves into an Esparta. Also now's a good time to introduce you all to Darkwing, the Rowlet, who of course will evolve twice, becoming a menacing Decidueye. And with Larry and his normal types next up, he is the perfect Pokemon to take him on. Larry starts things off with his Kamala, who uses Sucker Punch, only to fail as Darkwing goes for a nasty plot. This time Kamala goes for a Yawn, making us drowsy, but we stick to the plan and we nasty plot a second time, getting even more powerful. Kamala then goes for another Sucker Punch, which fails as Darkwing gets a +6 in special attack with a third nasty plot before falling asleep. Kamala actually has no moves that can hit us while we're asleep, so we patiently wait to wake up before Giga Draining the Koala Bear to its demise. The Dunsparce drops in now, only to share the same fate, falling to a single Giga Drain. Last is Larystaraptor, who does its best to take us out with an Aerial Ace, but we survive the hit and send the burn straight to the afterlife with a Giga Drain. Before we can even breathe, Nimona comes and challenges us again to a battle with Gita watching. Lycanroc goes for a bite, dealing big damage while also flinching us. Unable to stay in now, Howard enters the battlefield, taking the bite with ease, and then a quick attack before liquidating the wolf straight back to Nimona. Pawmo is next in, but a liquidation from Howard is just too much for it. Now it's Goomy coming in, so we go for a workup, getting stronger while eating a Dragon Pulse fairly well. We set up one more time with workup before a second Dragon Pulse can hit us, leaving Howard pretty low. Now we finally go on the attack, taking care of the slimy dragon with a low sweep. Nimona can then bring in a Crocodile Skeledirge, but a single, super effective liquidation is all it takes to crush my rival's ace. The gym challenge now takes us to the snowy region of Paldea, Montenevera, where we can throw hands with the local rapper and part-time gym leader, Rhyme. Falco and Howard takes a lead, and the fight starts off with Burnett shadow sneaking Falco. Howard then takes aim at the Mimikyu, hitting the ghost with a liquidation, breaking its disguise. The cheeky ghost then hits Howard with a slash before Falco gets revenge, landing a big shadow claw, almost taking it out. After the first turn, the crowd goes wild for landing a super effective move, raising my attacking stats, which is kinda broken. Burnett then goes for another shadow sneak on Falco, which is okay, while Howard lands a liquidation on the Mimikyu, eliminating it from the battlefield. Falco then hits Burnett with a huge shadow claw, sending it straight back to the afterlife. The crowd then decides to celebrate the death of one of Rhyme's Pokemon, making us both even stronger. Rhyme then brings in the last two Pokemon, Toxtricity and Houndstone, and expecting a discharge, Howard goes for a protect, which is exactly what happens, but Falco can survive the hit, allowing him to hit back with a big shadow claw on the Toxtricity, ending its life. Oh, and Houndstone gets fully paralyzed from his teammate's discharge, meaning one last liquidation from Howard gets the job done, and we have successfully defeated Rhyme. After freezing our butts off in the snow, it only makes sense to head to the desert to warm up. Thankfully, it is also here where we can run into the next Titan, Iron Treads. Howard has some fun with the Titan, and back-to-back low sweeps from our duck can force the metal elephant to retreat from battle. But we don't let it escape, and we find it not too far away, and we can start round 2 with Arvin's help. Low sweeps don't hurt us much anymore, but Scavulian can chip him with Fire Fangs, and after a few turns, we can work together and take it out. The gym challenge is now a priority again, so after Alfornada City we go, so we can take on Tulip and a psychic Pokemon. But Nimona decides that she wants to punish her Pokemon further and take us on in another battle. And let's just say, she is no match for our team of birds, and we can eliminate her Pokemon one by one until she has nothing left but the regret of ever asking to battle us. After teaching Nimona and her Pokemon a lesson, Tulip becomes next on our to-do list. Okay, get your heads out of the gutter, you cheeky rascal. You know what I mean. Alright, let's take her on. She leads with Farigiraf, and I have Falco out, who starts things off by Tressolizing to lose his weakness, and then bulking up, raising her attack and defense, while her Giraffe uses Zen Headbutt, and it gets a big critical hit. Sticking to the plan, we bulk up again, getting stronger, while another Zen Headbutt comes our way. Now at +2, it's time to go on the attack, flame charging the Farigiraf, taking it out, and making us faster. Gardevoir is next in, but this fairy can do nothing but fall to a flame charge from Falco. Now it's Esparta, but a Shadow Claw is more than enough to deal with the Emu. Last is Erase Florges, who is actually just Shadow Clawed into the next dimension. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Tulip beaten. There is but just one gym badge left for us to acquire, which has us travelling all the way back to the snow, where we can find Grusha and his ice Pokemon. Right, I think it's time for Skipper to have some fun. Grusha leads with Frostmoth, but Skipper can Flash Cannon this icy bug to its death. Beartick looks vicious, but a Flash Cannon can delete the bear from existence. See, Titan is a thick boy indeed, and is surprisingly fast, hitting us with a liquidation for pitiful damage, but we can just follow up with a Flash Cannon, taking out the ball of slush. Last is his Ace Altaria, who can outspeed and land a Hurricane, which is fine, but surprisingly, a Flash Cannon does not get the KO. So Skipper takes another hit on the chin before securing the win with a second Flash Cannon. We're at the point of the game where we could technically take on the Pokemon League and become champion, but we still have some unfinished business that I want to take care of first, starting with Team Star and their smug fairy leader, Ortega. Darkwing takes charge, nasty plotting in front of Azumarill, doubling our special attack, while the Rabbit goes for a charm, dropping our regular attack. We double down, nasty plotting again, and then Azumarill goes for a bounce, jumping in the air. We counter the bounce easily with a protect, and then nasty plot for the last time in this fight as Azumarill desperately tries to stop us with an Aqua Tail. Darkwing takes a hit well, and then a Giga Drain can get the kill while also healing us back up. Dash Bun comes in, and a Crunch actually does hurt, but not as much as a Giga Drain, taking out the dog and healing us up again. Wigglytuff is next and leaves just as quickly after another big Giga Drain. Last is his Starmobile, but two more Giga Drains from Darkwing can land, destroying the car and defeating Ortega and his fairy base. The False Dragon Titan is the last giant herb-eating Pokemon for us to slay, so we waste no time and hunt down the Dodonzo. Darkwing is still looking for some more action, so he takes on the fish and 2 Giga Drains from our owl, forces the catfish to retreat from the fight and go into hiding. Well, he tried to, but we catch up with him pretty quickly and then we start the next phase. Giga Drains do less damage this time, but with the help of Arvin's Greedent, we can comfortably take out the Dodonzo for good this time. But we ain't done yet, as the Tatsugiri decides that he also wants a piece of Darkwing, which he will soon regret. Darkwing goes for a nasty plot, doubling his special attack, while the Tatsugiri goes for a Dragon Pulse, which does hurt a little. But from here, Giga Drains can now deal good damage and keep our owl healthy at the same time, meaning that after a few turns, the little guy is whittled down and it's taken out of its misery, defeating the last of the Titans. All that's left to do now is head to the Fighting Team Star base and take on Eerie in a battle. And let's just say, this was a waste of time. Roadrunner can comfortably set up Calm Minds as Eerie's Toxicroak is adamant about going for Sucker Punches. Eventually we get to +5 in special attack and defense, and well, just watch. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come for us to become champion. So we make our way to the Pokemon League building, and things start off with Rika and her ground types. Darkwing takes a lead with a huge Giga Drain, absolutely destroying her Wish Cache in a single hit. Camera Up is next, so Kevin tags in, getting yawned as he enters. Kevin then goes for a big surf, drowning the camel before eventually falling asleep. Donphan is now in, so Darkwing makes a return, eating an Earthquake well. Then a Giga Drain can bring the Donphan all the way down to its Stony, while we can also nimbly avoid the Stone Edge. We then Spirit Shackle the elephant, which is probably overkill. Dugtrio could have done damage, but instead it goes for a Sandstorm and then just dies to a Giga Drain from Darkwing. Rika's last line of defense is a Clodsire, and thankfully this thing does Terrestrialize, losing its poison typing, making it weak to Giga Drains. 3 Giga Drains later, and the Clodsire has had enough, and it falls back to Rika, giving us the victory. Poppy is next up, and yes, somehow a toddler makes up the Pokemon League. Falco makes his Pokemon League debut, bulking up in front of Poppy's Copperaja, while the Steel Elephant goes for a high horsepower, doing about half our HP of damage. Not wanting to take any risks, we go for a Fire Punch and we melt the elephant into a puddle. Corviknight comes in next, and this time I decide to Terrestrialize and then finish off the bird with a huge Fire Punch. Bronzong is next in, but this spell is also taken out by a single Fire Punch. Magnezone does survive a Fire Punch because of its sturdy ability, but it sets up a light screen, which is fine, and then dies on the next turn. Finally, it's Tinkertong, who actually outspeeds and lands a huge Stone Edge, almost taking out Falco, but he just barely survives and responds with a massive Fire Punch, crushing the Metal Fairy into pieces, giving us the win. Larry now makes his way through the door, looking miserable as ever, and his day is about to get a lot worse. Kevin starts, calm minding, raising his special attack and defense, while the Tropius goes for a sunny day, setting up the sun. Now he outspeeds because of Chlorophyll, hitting us with a big Solar Beam for about half our health, but it pays for it with its life, as an Ice Beam can get the KO. And well, the rest of the fight goes like this. Hassle is all that's left between Geeta and I, and I'm not in a merciful mood. Noivern starts off with a Super Fang on Kevin, deleting half his health, while our Duck goes for a Calm Mind, raising his special stats again. We protect between every turn to get some extra leftover recovery, and then a second Super Fang can miss Kevin, which is good, as an Ice Beam does not miss and slaughters the dragon. Dragalge is now in, and does survive an Ice Beam, but a Thunderbolt doesn't put Kevin down, and a Surf can finish off Hassle's second Pokemon. Next is Flapple, and well, it's 4 times weak to an Ice Beam, so yeah, it's dead. Haxorus jumps in, and Kevin goes for a second Calm Mind, while just barely surviving a Dragon Claw from the Haxorus. But we did survive, and an Ice Beam can make sure that this thing does not get back up. Last is his Baxcalibur, and even this Goliath of a Pokemon can do nothing as Kevin Ice Beams it straight back to Hassle. All that's left for us to do now is to head outside and take on their champion, Geeta. She leads with a Sparta, who can Lumina Crash Darkwing, which does hurt, but not as much as a super effective Spirit Shackle, obliterating the Emu. As expected, it's King Gambit that comes in, so Falco tags in, eating the Calto Cleave with ease, before landing a quad effective low kick, crushing the king. Avalugg is now in, so I switch Falco with Howard, taking an Earthquake in the process. A low sweep from Howard does respectable damage, and of course, a body press from Avalugg ends up critting our Duck, almost killing us. Darkwing now makes a switch, coming back in for free as the body press has no effect. Then he sets up with a nasty plot, doubling his special attack stat while taking insane damage from an avalanche. Thankfully, we can Giga Drain the monster to its death and heal ourselves at the same time. Veluza is next, and once again we just go for a Giga Drain, taking out the fish. Now it's Gogoat, and this guy needs a couple of Spirit Shackles to hit before eventually falling before us. Last is Erase Glamora, who does Terrestrialize and hits Darkwing with a Sludge Wave for huge damage, but our Owl can hold on and finish off the champion's best Pokemon with a Giga Drain, giving us the win. Wait, don't go just yet. We still have the true final boss of the game, Professor Turo, that we need to take on in Area 0. Now, in order to actually get to Area 0, we need to head to the lighthouse and trigger the cutscene of the Professor asking for some help. Then it's as simple as beating up Arvin and his Mabostiff, finishing off the Path of Legends questline. Then it's Director Clavel and his Meowscarada, as well as Penny and El Sylveon that need to be defeated to complete the Starfall Street questline. Finally, we have one last battle with Nemona, defeating her Skeledirge and finishing off the Victory Road questline. All that's left to do now is head to the center of Paldea and fly down to the bottom where Area 0 is. We head straight down to the Professor's lab and meet up with the AI version of them before heading to the deepest part of Area 0 where we can begin the final battle of the run. Roadrunner starts off for us, going for a Calm Mind, raising his special attack and defense, while the Iron Moth uses Sludge Wave, which does hurt a bit. Now we go on the attack, and a big Lumina crash on the Iron Moth can take it out of existence. Iron Jugglers drops in next, so we go for a super effective Dazzling Gleam, but it does actually survive. Thankfully, we can just barely hold on after getting Dark Pulse from the Hydreigon clone, and then finish it off in the second turn with a Dazzling Gleam. Iron Thorns is next up, and we have no real choice but to stay in and go for a Lumina crash, which doesn't get the kill, meaning an Earthquake comes our way and puts an end to Roadrunner. Darkwing now jumps in and goes for a Sword Stance, doubling his attack stat, while the Iron Thorns lands a Stone Edge for just over half my health. Then Darkwing can go for a Trial Blaze, taking out the fake Tyranitar and raising his speed. Iron Bundle now shows his face, but a Trial Blaze is just too much for it, and it goes down. Iron Hands is much thicker and eats a Spirit Shackle like it's nothing, and Iron Head is close to taking us out, but we can't switch in anyone, so we go for a second Spirit Shackle, which does not get the kill, allowing a second Iron Head to put down Darkwing. Our starter Howard steps in, and an Aqua Step does finish off the Iron Hands, while raising our speed in the process, right before the Iron Valiant makes its way in. Howard terrestrializes to lose his fighting typing, and then goes for a huge Aqua Step, but the Iron Valiant survives and lands a Spirit Break for about half my HP. This means just one more Aqua Step from Howard is required to put an end to this battle and defeat the AI Professor for good. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I've beaten Pokémon Violet with birds that can't fly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.